Welcome to NYNJPA Weather, your severe weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. We're going to start this morning with the water vapor satellite picture as of 10:30 a.m. over the Northern Mid-Atlantic. Now at the surface you can see we have a weak cold front boundary setting up over the Long Island Sound, cutting back towards northeastern Pennsylvania and then down towards south central Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, we have plenty of dry air in the mid and upper levels. So what does this usually set up? Well, the fact of the matter is that the lower levels of the atmosphere are anything but dry and cool. In fact, we're already having temperatures in the mid to upper 80s late this morning, and we'll likely see temperatures rise into the mid 80s along the coast to lower 90s over parts of the Delaware River Valley. Combine that with dew points in the 60s, and what you end up with is a very unstable atmosphere. The problem is that we really don't have a very strong dynamic trigger to support widespread thunderstorm development. Unlike yesterday, where we had a very strong disturbance move through central New York, which led to thunderstorms developing further south over the northern mid-Atlantic, and a sea breeze front able to ignite some thunderstorms over central New Jersey, today we really don't have as organized of a lifting potential, but still, with a weak boundary in place over the northern mid-Atlantic, and with hot and humid conditions still in place this afternoon, there will be a threat for strong to severe thunderstorms, although widely scattered to isolated. The best potential for thunderstorms this afternoon and evening likely will be over the Philadelphia metropolitan area and parts of central and southern New Jersey. I think for the New York City metropolitan area, the temperatures will still be warm and unstable, but the best dynamics in lifting will be further to the south. In fact, currently, all your best instability measurements are all focused over the southern mid-Atlantic and parts of the southern Philadelphia metropolitan area, and not much is really starting to develop for parts of the New York City metropolitan area. So if you live in Connecticut, the Hudson Valley, parts of northeastern Pennsylvania, and northern New Jersey, I think you'll miss out on the majority of the thunderstorm potential for this afternoon. Further to the south, you have a better shot of seeing thunderstorms develop, and some of those thunderstorms could be rather severe. In fact, some of these thunderstorms will move very slowly, producing very heavy rainfall. So if you're caught under one of these thunderstorms, watch out for the potential for flash flooding, and of course there will also be a threat for some large hail, frequent lightning that could be very dangerous, and very strong wind gusts. Before moving forward for the rest of the forecast, I want to go down to the tropics because we have two interesting features that we're going to have to keep an eye on. The first feature I want to talk about is actually disturbance number 2, which is developing along the intertropical convergence zone. Now, my premium members know I've been keeping an eye on this disturbance. I think it's something to watch, but I don't think it's really going to have a chance to develop into a tropical depression or storm until it reaches the central and western Caribbean. Usually, disturbances do not develop when they're in the Eastern Caribbean due to increased shear and also slightly cooler ocean temperatures. But once they move into the Central and Western Caribbean, which I am expecting this disturbance to do, likely around the early part of next week, that is a disturbance we're going to have to keep an eye on because the upper level pattern will be much more favorable for development. Disturbance number 1, though, is going to be something we're going to have to keep an eye on for this weekend, and specifically for tomorrow night. Now, am I talking about a tropical storm? Not exactly. Let's take a look at the water vapor satellite picture over North America. When we transition to a view more of the United States with the water vapor, you see a few interesting points with this disturbance sitting over Florida. One is clearly being influenced by a strong upper level low over the northern Gulf Coast that will move towards Texas as we move on through the day. Now, as this disturbance moves to the west, this disturbance over Florida will start to drift north. Meanwhile, we have our stationary front starting to drift south. The combination of these two features will spawn an area of low pressure. Now, currently, I do not think we're looking at a tropical low pressure system, but it's something to bear watching when this disturbance starts to drift over the North Carolina coastal waters, which are very warm for this time of year. But the model guidance right now is trying to produce a heavy rain event tomorrow night into Saturday morning for parts of New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania, possibly skipping into parts of the New York City metropolitan area, especially eastern Long Island. I think that the precipitation that is being produced by the Malagines is a bit overdone, mostly because of two reasons. One, this disturbance is extremely disorganized, and two, the jet streak that is developing off of the New Jersey coast is rather fast and rather strong from southwest to northeast. What does that mean? Well, an area of low pressure probably will be able to develop along the stationary front, but it's not going to be hanging around. It's going to kick out into the Atlantic. And it's not, as a result, it's not going to have enough time to intensify and deepen. This is in no way, shape, or form like a nor'easter. I know there's some talk about that on the internet. No way, shape, or form. Just because you have an area of low pressure off the East Coast does not make it a nor'easter. Totally different dynamics and different setup. But we will have to watch out for some scattered showers late tomorrow night into early Saturday morning. Most likely, when you're heading out for whatever activity you want to enjoy on Friday evening, bring an umbrella with you for a few showers. And because of the tropical moisture in place, some of those showers, not all of them, but some of them will produce very heavy downpours. Then, by the time you wake up on Saturday morning, skies will be clearing and Saturday afternoon will be rather pleasant with slightly lower humidity. Still the same temperature range, mid-80s along the coast, lower 90s over the interior, but slightly lower humidity and a rather enjoyable day for Saturday afternoon. What about the rest of the pattern? Well, as you can see, not much is really going to change. This is the European Malagines for pretty much next week from the Penn State EWOL website. Now, this pattern might seem rather familiar to you. It should. It's basically the same pattern we've been dealing with all this week and will continue to deal with into this weekend and through much of next week, which basically will feature a strong upper level low and deep trough over eastern Canada, a strong heat ridge from the plains over into the western Atlantic, which puts the northern mid-Atlantic right in the middle of these two different dynamic systems. That's going to mean a continuation of above normal temperatures with bouts of high humidity and a threat for strong to severe thunderstorms, although widely scattered and isolated each afternoon. So if you like this pattern now, well, you're going to really enjoy the next 10 days because really not much is going to be changing with this pattern overall. With this type of pattern as well, keep an eye on your coastal fronts. If you're on the beach and you start seeing clouds starting to build, get indoors because that will likely lead to showers and thunderstorms and cutting short your time for getting a tan. So also when you see thunderstorms along the coast, do not go in the water because the increased threat for rip tides will be very high, and I would not suggest trying to jump or surf any of those waves at your own peril. So that's pretty much the forecast from now all the way until basically next Friday. Hot and humid, with the hottest conditions remaining over the southern and central plains back into the Mississippi River Valley, remaining to the south and west of the northern Mid-Atlantic. Thank you for trusting in NYNJPA Weather as your severe weather source for the northern Mid-Atlantic. Of course, you can keep up to date with the latest in severe weather with NYNJPA Weather on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, and of course at nyNJPAweather.com. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Have an excellent day.